Alright, hey guys, welcome back to another video. And before I start, it's raining really hard outside, so you might hear that. I tried to wait a little bit, but it's been raining like this all day, so you're probably going to hear it in the background. But today we have a video talking about the devs, and the devs are speaking on multiplayer changes, upcoming multiplayer changes. This video will be part one of a two-part series, and it will strictly be about multiplayer because I do miss it a lot in my normal dev talk videos. So I decided to make this video and the next one specifically for multiplayer players, pretty much, you know. Also, like I said before, I don't play multiplayer a lot. I mostly play single player, so I'm going to read all the statements and replies from the devs, and I'm going to give my opinion at the end. I also have a lot of dev videos on my channel, so if you would like to, see more dev info, whether single player, multiplayer, any of that, all of that will be on my channel. It's labeled dev videos, so it's pretty easy to find, right? And also, the official forum link to the Bannerlord forums is going to be linked down below, and that's pretty much where all the replies and stuff can be found. And I have a script like always. It's going to be on the screen right now, and that's going to be in the description. Any links and everything I say will be down there. But alrighty, let's get it. So first, we're going to start with a thread made by a player, and then talk about all the dev replies to this specific thread. I'm going to read the post and put it on the screen right now. So the title of the thread is Mountain Javs 2 Throwing Lords, and then in parentheses is skirmish mode. So this thread is talking about the skirmish mode. So let's get right into it. This is what he says. So there is something deeply off about the current meta of skirmish. I would be so curious to get some statistics from Tail Worlds about the causes of death in skirmish, because I feel like at the moment, at very least, 75% of the deaths are caused by a projectile or some sort of throwing weapons or archery. This is one of the many reasons why it's so obnoxious to play infantry, and practically nobody ever bothers to do so anymore. Playing infantry pretty much becomes a lame attempt at a game of boring dodgeball where every enemy you encounter ends up throwing stuff at you while your teammates are also throwing stuff at you, and pretty much you have to dodge at every angle imaginable. The meta is getting so annoyingly boring it needs a nerf. Now, issues I see. Throwing weapons and crossbows deal way too much damage. Doing a one-shot kill with a throwing weapon is a way too recurrent event in skirmish. Pylas, I don't know what those are exactly, are possibly the most OP of the bunch when it comes to damage. So I'm guessing that's one of the throwing weapons names. Now, classes that, in my opinion, should not have access to throwing weapons do have access to it. aka Legionaries, Surgeons, and Oath Swarms. By the way, if I say any of these names wrong or anything wrong, I don't want to hear it, okay? You probably pronounce it wrong too sometimes. It happens, okay? Let's continue. Completely impossible to play two-handed classes such as Volgur, Menav in competitive skirmish. Basically, picking a two-handed class will get you ridiculed by the enemy team and flamed by your own team for throwing the game. Some thunder in the back, too. Some classes have too many throwing weapons. Bolts hits for way too much damage. So, like stated before, the throwing weapons and crossbows deal a lot of damage. Damage mitigation is too much based on armor. Only high-end armor wearers will survive a throwing weapon hit. Then the next one is, you do not sacrifice a good perk to get throwing weapons. Most of the time when you sacrifice, it's pretty much for a short spear or some kind of bad spear. One example of a class in which throwing aspect is very balanced is the Clan Warrior. In order to acquire the throwing spear, you have to give up a shield. And that is a big deal compared to giving up a spear. Okay. Now here's a suggestion. Give access to throwing weapons only to the following classes: peasant classes, two-handed users. Remove all access to throwing weapons to the big plate wearers, pretty much the heavy, the heavy units, and let the agile two-handed classes be the ones specialized in throwing stuff. This reduces the amount of stuff being thrown in games, and it gives a small tap in the back to the two-handed classes for skirmish. Okay, so basically in this whole thing, throwing weapons are a problem. Especially I guess javelins and stuff of that nature. They do one shots, and crossbows do too much damage as well. And the game pretty much becomes just a shooting game really. And the infantry class is kind of pointless. Now, with all that being said, the solution that the player who posted this sees is give the throwing weapons to peasant classes and also two-handed users, which I'm pretty sure are some of the worst in the game right now, right? By this post. I don't know, like I said before, I don't play that much multiplayer. But pretty much by doing that, it's going to give them a boost, and it's going to give a nerf to every other class that is seen as overpowered right now. So that's pretty much the statement. Now let's get to the dev replies. So now the first post from the dev states that they know that there is an overabundance of throwing weapons and too many classes have this. So pretty much completely, kind of in a way answering the original poster, right? The devs state that this is being adjusted. Now, the second post from the devs is a reply to a player asking if spears can have a buff when it comes to cavalry because spears basically don't do any damage when in reality they should when it comes to cavalry, right? They should be a counter in a way, right? The devs state that cavalry mechanics and spear and cavalry battles have been adjusted and will be applied in the next multiplayer patch. Now, third, we have two more replies to players from the devs. First player asked for the devs' input on the tankiness of horses and cavalry. Pretty much they're, I guess, are too strong right now in the multiplayer scene, right? Devs state the heavy cavalry armor is getting reduced. Whether it's in this patch or next patch is not stated. The second player asked if the devs can remove kick and pretty much remove javelins because of the throwing issue in multiplayer. Devs state that kick, slash, throw, and crossbow problems are all getting addressed. Fourth, we have a player asking the devs about the speed and maneuverability, that's a hard word for me to say, of heavy cavalry since there is no advantage to having horses without armor since speed does not change with or without armor. Devs reply and state that almost all horses will see adjustments to their, maneuverability, speed, and HP in the upcoming multiplayer patch. Fifth, we have a player saying that while all this sounds good, nothing has been done yet, so don't get too excited. Because pretty much people were getting excited in threads, and of course this guy had to come in and, squash all that and, get back to the negativity of the forums. The good old negativity. But pretty much the devs respond and state that the patch was postponed because there were other features the devs wanted to be implemented as well. Devs also state if everything goes according to plan, the patch should be released later this month with all the changes that were mentioned and more. Now, sixth, we have a player asking what the more means in the devs' previous post. And the devs pretty much reply to this and state that they have spoke too much and there will be no more spoilers. So that's pretty much all these statements and replies the devs have gave. So here's my take on the pretty much, the situation. Like I said before, I don't play multiplayer, but it's good to see more changes are coming to multiplayer. I know that the multiplayer scene has a good fan base and a lot of devoted people, and it's good to see the devs are speaking directly to the community and making changes that the multiplayer community wants to see, right? Like they're adjusting adjusting pretty much. I'm guessing the throwing numbers, like the throwing weapon amount numbers, and stuff of that nature. Also, decreasing the armor of cavalry, which I'm pretty sure a lot of players wanted as well. So it's good to see that they are working with the community to make the multiplayer better. Let me know if you guys play multiplayer, and also if these changes that I just stated, are they good changes or are they not good changes, and let me know why, right? Also, like I stated above, there will be a part 2 to this video where we will talk about another thread with a lot of dev replies. And lastly, I'm going to end this video in the same way on most of my update and dev talk videos. I want to thank the developers for staying active and bringing good changes. I know some people are impatient and very negative, It happens, but me and hopefully a huge group of people understand that this is an early access game and it takes time and patience on our part. You know, it does. It really does. Also, as an early access game, if you are playing on the beta, which is pretty much, if you're an auto update on Steam when it comes to Bannerlord, you are playing on the beta, and it will be unstable because it's meant for playtesting and reporting. Now, if you're having problems or crashes and you want to play in a more stable environment, I would suggest you play on a stable live patch of the game. We're currently on 1.4.2, which is the beta patch, and I'm personally playing on 1.3. So if you would like to change back, have more stable gameplay, less crashes and stuff of that nature, I have a video on how you can change back, and it will be down below if you do. Now, hopefully this video was informative. Ask me any questions, and like always, stay safe.